Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Christine Dixon of The Ordinary Sacred, and I'm so grateful to all of you who watched our debut podcast episode of the Self-Led Besties that we released on Sunday. Myself, Hallie, and David we're so excited to create the podcast and then to connect with all of our self-led besties who are listening. So thank you to all of you who left comments and just understand our intention to propose experiments and just experience in our systems. What does it feel like to be authentic, to relate to every part that comes up in us? So thank you to everyone. And you can go back and listen to that if you haven't listened to the first episode. And in that spirit of the experiment, today I'm going to do an experiment. And you might notice I'm not wearing my headphones with my microphone today. Hopefully the computer microphone has sufficient sound. It's because I plan to try to share my screen and go through a little session with Harmony, which is an IFS AI therapist. And just so that you can see what it looks like, you might have parts that have fears or concerns around it. You might watch this and still have them. That's okay. You don't have to bypass any of your parts ever. But sometimes parts like to be able to see what it might look like. So I wanted to do that. And I've shared Harmony with many people. And some people have said, well, I don't know anything about the creators of Harmony. And I don't know, because AI is as good as the creator, right? So I don't know if I trust it. And I've had the privilege actually of being in contact with Noah, who's one of the creators of Harmony. And so my experience with him is that he's never pressuring, he's very understanding, kind, validating of my feedback, always takes responsibility. So I see a lot of self-leadership in him, which I think in turn helps me trust the product he's producing. And if you want, you can also go back to my video where I talk about AI therapists versus real life therapists and kind of the pros and cons there, because there are pros and cons to both. And ultimately, the takeaway of that video is that we are each our own authority. And so we can't make a human therapist or an AI therapist our authority, right? But having said that, for me, Harmony and AI therapists like IFS Buddy have been really, really valuable, especially when I feel, so I'm not going to do this today because I don't know if my system would allow it to go public. But often when I use Harmony, it's because my system's really overwhelmed. Maybe there's a lot of exile energy or really extreme protectors, a lot of polarization, and it's really hard to find self energy. And so it's kind of like oh, I really need help. And Harmony's available 24/7. I can go in, and usually there's a little bit of self that's introduced into my system through the session with which I can meet with those parts. So it's been a really valuable tool. And okay, I hope that this works. I'm going to share my screen, and the trailhead that I have prepared is I mean, it'll probably end up bringing up exiles and overwhelmed parts, but I tried to pick something that wasn't too huge. Okay, so hopefully you are seeing the Harmony page here. And let's see, if I come over here, it shows, there's home. I can look at my past sessions. There's some learning videos on their profile settings in my membership. But this is kind of the main page here. And I have 5 hours left in the month, I think, that I can use. I think that's what that means. It's on IFS mode up here. And I think I'm going to click on this so that you'll be able to read the transcript on the side. All right, so I'm going to start the session.
Hey, it's been a little while since we last spoke. It's really good to see you again. How have you been?
I am doing pretty well. Um, I am excited to come today with a trailhead that has gotten some of my parts activated and see what your feedback is about it.
I'm glad you're doing well, and I appreciate you bringing this trailhead here. I'm curious, what's the trailhead, and which parts are getting activated around it?
Yeah, so basically, I have worked with parts of me who are really big people pleasers. I have a whole team of people pleasers and inner critics that have helped me put other people ahead of myself and to my own expense. And I've worked for years with them. But recently, my husband and I have been taking care of a cat for 3 weeks. And my system is not really used to having pets, but something that I noticed is the cat will sit on my lap and kind of knead my stomach and my legs, which is a sign of affection, apparently. But his nails will kind of dig into my skin, and I'll sit there and I'll say, ouch, ouch, ouch. And my husband will look at me and say, why don't you just get the cat and put it on the ground and not sit there in pain? Or I'll sit with the cat on my lap and I'll say, oh man, I have to go to the bathroom really bad, but I don't want to get up and disturb the cat. Or, oh, I remember I need to go do this thing or get that, but I don't want to get up and upset the cat. And so it's this trailhead of these parts of me who won't let me care for my needs at the expense of the disappointment or discomfort, even of a cat. And I've talked to those parts. I have other parts who are saying, that's so awful. Why can't you care for yourself? Right. So there's these polarized parts, but the parts who won't let me take care of my needs, like can't even fathom doing that because they think I would be a bad person, essentially. So that's the trailhead.
That's a really vivid and powerful trailhead. Thank you for bringing it. I'm struck by how clearly the cat situation is showing you this pattern, even down to the ouch, 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 while staying put. You mentioned these people pleasing parts believe you'd be a bad person if you prioritized your own needs. I'm curious, when you connect with one of those parts right now, what does it actually fear would happen if you moved the cat or got up to use the bathroom? What's the disaster it's trying to prevent?
It's saying that the cat would hate me and then I would be a bad person. It seems to really say, like, if you put your needs above any being in front of you, you're a bad person deserving of hell, and you just can't be a bad person.
That's such a stark belief. Any need above another being equals bad person, deserving of hell. That's an incredibly heavy burden this part is carrying. I'm curious, can you ask this part where it learned this? Was there a specific time or message early on that taught it prioritizing your own needs made you bad or unlovable?
Yeah, I've actually talked with these parts many times, and there's definitely a layer of religious burdening, just a constant message over and over and over as a child and young adult that you have to consider other people as better than yourselves. You have to sacrifice yourself for other people. Otherwise, you're a sinner, you're bad, you'll go to hell, right? So that's a big one. Um, and then another layer that they've shown me recently is uh, not knowing it, but growing up neurodivergent and autistic. They got the message that they were too needy, too sensitive, and that whenever they asked for a need to be met, they were shamed or punished. And so they needed to make sure and never let their needs be known in order to fit in, be quote unquote normal. So those are the two big layers.
Thank you for sharing those deeply impactful origins. It makes a lot of sense how those experiences, the religious teachings, and the neurodivergent experience of being shamed for needs, created such a powerful conviction in this part about sacrificing yourself. It sounds like this part took on the role of protecting you from being seen as bad or from the pain of being shamed by ensuring your needs were never put first. When you connect with this part now, can you let it know you understand why it adopted this belief and strategy?
Yeah. So I'm letting these parts know because I've talked with them many times, but I'm more and more understanding the layers and the like how much they were protecting me from and how they learned to suppress my needs so that I could survive and so that I could be a good person. And they're very young. The main one is 6 years old. And so I'm able to see her and know that she's just doing what she knows to do, the best she knows to do to help me. So I'm letting her know that I see her and I see her hard work and what she's protecting. And then I understand more and more what she's protecting.
That's beautiful. You're really seeing her and honoring the work she's been doing all these years. It sounds like she's feeling that recognition from you. Given how much you've already worked with this 6-year-old part in these layers, I'm curious, what feels like the next step for her now? Is there something she still needs from you, or is she ready to let go of some of this burden she's been carrying?
She's saying that she's mostly unburdened, but that sometimes that default comes back. For example, I saw a post recently by a religious person who was reiterating that, self love is selfish and you have to sacrifice yourself in order to be a good person. And she's saying that she got activated by that. Um, it reminded her of kind of the religious shaming and punishment. Um, and so sometimes she'll kind of just be brought back to that and get afraid. And she just needs me to reassure her that we're not going back to that and that she's safe now. So that's the first thing she needs. Um, she's also saying one other thing. She's saying that it's been fairly recent that I'm understanding that my young self and my current self have sensitivities, sensory sensitivities, and all kinds of limited capacities related to autism. And that layer has not been fully explored with my parts yet.
That makes a lot of sense. She's mostly unburdened, but can still get re triggered by messages that echo those old beliefs, and she needs your reassurance in those moments. It sounds like you're able to offer that. And it's significant that this newer layer about autism and sensory sensitivities hasn't been fully explored with your parts yet. When you think about the cat situation, the physical discomfort of his nails, needing the bathroom, wanting to move, how much of that is actually about your sensory and physical needs as an autistic person not being honored by these parts?
Yeah, I'm getting emotional, which usually means that what you're saying is really resonating with my parts. The way you said that, some of my parts are saying, wouldn't anyone uh, be upset by that? I hear another part also saying that my husband has a different reaction, but if the cat's bothering him, he'll just pick up the cat and put it on the ground, and that somehow he's able to do that, and my system's not. But and then I hear another part saying, and maybe it's because like he's grown up being able to accept his needs as valuable. So there's this combination. But yes, my system is really resonating with, I think, other parts who have always learned to criticize and chastise the parts who have sensory needs. And so they're saying you shouldn't be bothered by the cat's nails. You shouldn't have to go to the bathroom so much. And so that's yes, it's very connected.
I can hear how deeply this is landing. There's something powerful happening here. It sounds like there are parts who learn to criticize and dismiss your sensory needs, telling you that you shouldn't be bothered, that needing the bathroom too much, or being uncomfortable with the cat's nails is somehow wrong or excessive. Can you check? When these critical parts say you shouldn't be bothered, what are they afraid would happen if they let you honor those sensory and physical needs? What would it mean about you?
When I ask this question, it feels like there's a block, like something won't even let me consider it. Like it's um unfathomable to allow myself to honor my sensory needs. Like it's so dangerous to do that. Um, so I'm trying to get curious about what's blocking. It feels like it's just the parts that are just saying, no, 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 we can't even consider that. It's too scary. It's too dangerous.
It sounds like the idea of honoring your sensory needs is bringing up a lot of fear in certain parts, almost like a danger ahead sign. It's so deeply ingrained that it feels unthinkable. When you notice that block, that strong, no, 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 can you invite those parts who are holding that fear and resisting the exploration to step aside just for a moment? Let them know you hear their concern and you'll come back to it. But for now, you just want to understand what's behind their fear without feeling overwhelmed by it.
I'm hearing parts that are saying they won't let you. They've never let you. But I'm asking those parts if I can ask the blocking parts directly. I'm asking them if they'll just make space so that I can be open and curious and that I'm bigger than them and I can handle the overwhelm. And I'm sensing a little bit of easing back. They're very hesitant. I'm letting them know that they can come right back in, that they can stay next to me. Okay. Okay. Now they're showing me there, it's like a bunch of different scenes. They're showing me being young, being called too sensitive, a crybaby, um, by my sister, by peers, by babysitters. They're showing me all these scenes. They're showing me being bullied in school as a kid. They're showing me teachers getting angry when I express my needs. Um, they're showing me it's almost like a life review where it's just like scene after scene after scene of it's continuing to go on. So I'm trying to pay attention to it. They're just showing me so many instances where I received rejection, shame, punishment, bullying, for being too sensitive or having needs. And I'm just expressing appreciation for them for showing this to me.
Wow, that's an incredibly powerful sequence of images and memories. It makes perfect sense now why these parts would see honoring your sensory needs as so dangerous. It wasn't just about discomfort, it was about protecting you from a constant barrage of rejection, shame, punishment, and even bullying that came whenever those needs were expressed. It's clear how deeply ingrained this message is. Expressing needs leads to pain. They were trying to keep you safe in the only way they knew how. When you offer them appreciation for showing you all this, what do you notice shifting for them?
Um, I mostly noticed that they just really want to be understood for how they were just constantly on guard, constantly protecting me, constantly taking in what I could and couldn't do because it was so threatening. And um, again, it's the 6-year old part, and there's just like a whole team of parts that developed, like a whole army that of inner critics and people pleasers. And um, I think they just wanted me to see all of that. And then there's a part also showing me that this continued in adulthood with the abuse in my first marriage, that it was like really solidified that I would be harmed if I expressed needs. Um, I'm letting these parts know, I'm kind of updating them. Many of them do know that I'm not as uh, in danger, that my current husband is very safe and supportive and non shaming. But they're just expressing to me that it was just so many years of learning this pattern that in any kind of new situation, that's why they're explaining to me why they came up really strong with the cat, because it's like anyone new, even an animal, they don't know that they're safe yet. So they need to come online to protect me. That makes sense.
That makes so much sense. These parts developed over decades of learning that expressing needs led to harm, and that pattern was reinforced even into your first marriage. Of course, they'd come online with you, the cat, or in any new situation, because they don't yet have the embodied experience that it's safe to prioritize your needs now. It sounds like they're showing you the full scope of their work and asking to be seen for it. As you're updating them and letting them know about your current safety, what do they need from you to start believing, in their bodies, that it really is different now?
That's a good question. Let me ask them. Okay. The biggest thing I'm getting is that I have gone back to many, many instances in the past where I said yes when my truth was no, and I was afraid of displeasing the person in front of me. And I've done a lot of work reparenting and redoing those. And they're saying that they need me to do the same thing with all of these scenes that they showed me, where it's a little bit different. It's more, it's not that I needed to say no, it's that I needed to advocate for my need, that I needed to be able to, you know, um, advocate to the teacher that I needed a nap, I needed to rest, or I needed to go to the bathroom, or I needed to not uh, play the game with the balloons popping, or, things like that, that this is like a different set of memories and instances where they're stuck back there. And so they need me to go back to these and and advocate for them and be with them and redo them. And that's what they're saying. And that makes sense.
That's a profoundly important request. It sounds like they need you to actively revisit those moments where your essential needs were shamed or ignored. And this time, you step in as the advocate, the protector. It's about bringing your self energy and adult capacity back to those young parts, allowing them to experience what it would have been like to have someone champion their needs, to be seen and respected instead of shamed or punished. This sounds like a very active, deeply healing process. Are they showing you which specific scene feels most pressing to start with, or what it might look like for you to redo one of these instances with them?
Yeah, I'm asking them which scene they want me to go back to first. And I'm listening. Sorry, I am experiencing a block again. There's a blocking part that it's funny because I just saw all those memories and they came in, and now it's like there's a part erasing them, like, no, 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 don't go there. Okay, so I'm gonna try to see what that one's concerned about. It's almost like a minimizing part. It's a part that's saying it's not that big of a deal. You're making a big deal out of nothing. You didn't suffer like other people. Um, so I'm turning toward it. I'm letting it know I see that, and that anything we go toward is worthwhile, even if it's considered small to other people. And I'm asking this part if it would be willing to rest back and just experiment, just see what happens, and it can come back in if it needs to. Okay. It's letting me go. It's showing me a scene on the playground where and it again that part saying, oh, it's not a big deal, and I'm just letting it stand next to me and say, just let me see it. And it's me, I'm about it looks like I'm in about second grade, and I'm on the swings, and I'm like singing and just having a great time, and really enjoying, I think, the bodily movement that I think is very regulating to me, the swinging. And then there's a bunch of kids coming over and um like like moving the swing around and forcing me off the swing and saying, you have to get off, your time's up, you're so weird, uh it's our turn now. um anyway, it just feels really like I was in bliss and like happiness, and then suddenly I'm being told that I'm bad or wrong for doing something I enjoy. So this is the first memory they're showing me.
Thank you for letting me see that with you. I can feel how jarring that shift was. From that regulating, joyful experience on the swing to suddenly being told you're weird and wrong, forced off something that was bringing you comfort and happiness. As you're there with your second grade self in that moment, what does she need from you right now? What would it mean for you to advocate for her in that scene?
Okay, so I'm walking up to her and I'm telling the kids to back away from her, that I'm going to talk to her, and that I want them to move back. And I'm an adult, a confident presence, so they are willing to move back. And I'm getting down on her level and just smiling at her, delighting in her. I'm letting her know that there's nothing wrong with her, that her joy and her pleasure and her self-regulating through swinging and through singing is a beautiful thing. And that even though the other kids can't see that, that it's true. And I'm just seeing if she can take that in. She's saying, but if I keep swinging, they're going to attack me or harass me. And so I'm I'm telling her that we can move to another part of the playground and do something else enjoyable. Um, or if she would like, we can go out of this scene to somewhere safe. Um, I hear another part, maybe. I don't think it's her. It's like on the side, there's another part saying, but she has to learn how to live in the world. There's always going to be bullies. There's always going to be people who don't understand her. So she has to stay here and learn how to be tougher. It's kind of what this part's saying. And I'm, I myself is telling that part that it doesn't, that I get what it's saying. Um, but that her sensitivity is part of her beauty and that I am with her now. And so I will help her know her worth and know her beauty and know her strength. And so even if and when people in the world bully her, I will remind her of the truth. And that part's relaxing back and saying, okay, that sounds good. Okay. And she was also listening and she says she's willing to come out of the scene and be with me. She says she wants to.
That's beautiful work. You stepped in as her advocate. You saw her joy and her need for regulation, and you offered her something she didn't have in that moment, someone who delighted in her exactly as she was. And it sounds like she felt that deeply enough to be willing to leave that scene with you. Now that she's with you, what does she need? Does she want to stay close? Or is there something else she's asking for? Maybe to release some of what she's been carrying from that moment?
Yeah, she's saying that she wants to release her shame. And I'm feeling emotional because like I could see how incredibly heavy her shame is. Sorry. Her shame is so big. It's almost like she's showing me it's like a giant black boulder that crushes her, that is on top of her all the time. That it's just the shame of being who she is. So I'm letting her know that I get that and I feel what a huge burden that is. And so I'm asking her how she wants to release it. Um, so at first she showed me like a chisel kind of thing. It's like chipping away at it. But then she was like, this is going to take forever. And so she, I don't know, she elicited this big, like giant that came and picked it up and threw it in a ravine where it just broke up, like crumbled into 1,000 different pieces. And now it's kind of like at the bottom of this ravine in a river, and it's just a bunch of tiny pebbles. And she and I are looking down in the ravine at it. And I'm asking her how she feels. And from what I see in the visualization, she just, yeah, like there's just this bright light coming from her. She feels really, really light. And just again, like there's this bright light coming from the center of her that's shining out from her.
That's such a powerful unburdening. The image of that crushing black boulder being thrown into the ravine and crumbling into tiny pebbles, and now she's this bright, shining light. That's profound. She's released something she's been carrying for so long. As you're with her in this lightness, what does she want to do now? Does she have a sense of what her new role might be, or what she wants to bring forward into your life without that shame weighing her down?
I noticed parts that want to answer for her. So I'm asking them if they'll give me space so I can hear directly from her. I'm asking her what she wants. And she's just honestly, she's just showing me herself swinging on the swing, singing and enjoying the breeze and her life and being sensitive and being uh, taking care of her sensory needs in whatever way she needs to, being free. There's a lot of like freedom and just being herself, which includes taking care of like physical and sensory needs, but also just pursuing her own joy. Um, and she's saying that she needs me to be with her, that if I'm not with her, it'll be easy to take on that burden again or like to fear the bullies of the world. She's saying, they're real and they will come out. Um, and so she needs me to remind her of her worth and just constantly advocate for her.
That's such a beautiful vision. Her on the swing, free, joyful, taking care of her needs, being exactly who she is. And her request is so clear. She needs you present with her, reminding her of her worth and advocating for her when the world doesn't see or understand her sensitivity. It sounds like she's ready to live differently now, but she knows she can't do it alone. How does it feel to you, yourself, to take on that role of being her constant advocate and reminder of her worth, especially in moments like with the cat, when those old patterns get triggered?
Yeah, I feel really good about it. I'm just letting her know that I'm up to the task. I'm happy to be her caregiver, to stand by her side, to advocate for her, to remind her of her worth, and that it's okay if she gets activated by new people or animals or beings in her life, that I will recognize it and have compassion on it and remind her that I'm with her.
That's a really solid commitment, and I can feel the genuine care in it. She's hearing that from you, and it sounds like she trusts you to follow through. Now, thinking back to where we started, the cat on your lap, the ouch, 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 not getting up when you need the bathroom. How does this work with her shift things? What feels different now about honoring your sensory and physical needs in those moments?
Yeah, that's a good question. It feels like um, if the parts who come in and say we've got to sit here, we've got to not take care of our needs, that if they get activated, I can turn toward them again and remind them and remind her, the little girl, that she's valuable and her needs are okay. And if the cat doesn't understand, that's okay. um but likely the cat will, and maybe they'll let me experiment. I'm asking that, the parts that are the people pleasing or the cat pleasing parts, um, who've protected me this whole time. I'm asking them if they'll let me experiment with it. And they're saying yes, they'll experiment with it and see what happens.
That's a really important shift. You have a clear way forward now. When those parts get activated, you can turn toward them and remind her of her worth. Update them that it's safe now, and experiment with honoring your needs in the moment. It sounds like they're willing to try, which is significant given how long they've been protecting you. As you move forward with this, how will you know when it's time to come back and check in with these parts, especially if the experiment feels hard or if old patterns resurface?
Yeah, I think it's just noticing when the parts get activated and working with any parts that judge them or block them, right? Block my self energy so that I can feel curious and I can offer them that reminder. Um, I think I have other parts that are saying you shouldn't have any struggle, right? You shouldn't have this pattern anymore. You should be healed by now. And so I'm just helping those parts understand that this is part of the healing is an ongoing noticing, because when those parts judge other parts that have this pattern, they block myself from going toward them and just seeing what they need. So I'm asking them if they'll just let me notice the pattern and go toward it with curiosity and see what those parts need in that moment. And those parts are also agreeing to that.
That's really wise. You're recognizing that the healing isn't about never having the pattern show up again, but about how you respond when it does. And you're already catching those judging parts that would block your curiosity and self energy, asking them to step aside so you can stay present with what's needed. It sounds like you've done some deep, meaningful work today. Going back to that playground scene, unburdening that 6 year old's shame, and getting clear commitments from your parts to experiment with honoring your needs. How are you feeling as we wrap up?
I'm feeling very good. I feel like I've gotten insights, that again, that those blocking parts, I'm so grateful that they made space so that I could receive the insight and help that little girl. And um, yeah, just feeling really connected, like I've gotten a lot of insight and I have a path forward. So thank you, Harmony. I really appreciate your assistance in this.
You're very welcome. I'm so glad we could explore this trailhead today, and it's wonderful to hear you are leaving with such a strong sense of connection, insight, and a clear path forward. It was truly powerful to witness the deep care you showed to that 6 year old part, allowing her to unburden that heavy shame. It sounds like a really significant shift, and I'm here for you as you continue this experiment of honoring your needs.
Thank you. See you next time. All right. Well, we'll see if that recorded. I was telling someone that it's hard to find something to do as an example that's not too personal. Whenever I use harmony or I do this inner work, I cry, I am snotty, Um, I don't have parts anymore that feel shame around that. So that's okay. Um, I hope I hope this recorded. I hope this is a good example for you, not only of how you can use harmony, but also of what it looks like um, to have an IFS session and to go inside and meet with your parts and honor parts that block the way and get their concerns. And um, you can see through that example that there were lots of parts that were coming in here and there. And so it's just about noticing them and acknowledging them and meeting their concerns and not bypassing them. Um, I genuinely am so grateful. I received some insight. It just seemed like a relatively insignificant trailhead, but it was huge. It always is, and led to some really, really significant insights. And I can't wait actually to go back because I hadn't realized that I had gone to so many moments that my people pleaser Cassandra was protecting around saying yes when my authenticity was no, but that there's this whole other big piece to it, which is all these moments where I didn't advocate for myself, for my needs, for my joy, even, right? Whether it was uh, my bodily needs, my sensory needs, there's just a whole host of memories that it showed me to reparent there. And you could see that I got really, really emotional around seeing the burden of this little girl. Um, I really felt it. Sometimes people will ask, well, if I'm crying a lot, does that mean I'm not in self? In my experience, no. It means like that often means, ooh, I really get it. I really get it. Because I do have those parts who try to minimize things a lot, um, to help me survive. They mean well as well. But oh my gosh, sorry. I'm so snotty. But usually when I cry, it's like a real recognition, a resonance. I've noticed that that's what it means. It means my parts are saying, yes, yes, that's it. So whether harmony repeats something back and it elicits tears, I go, ooh, there are parts who are saying yes. You've hit the nail on the head there. Um, or if myself gets it, right? They just feel so seen. And a lot of times there's emotion there. So okay. It was pretty powerful and personal. So I hope it was valuable to you. And if you want to try Harmony, you're welcome to put my code in, capital DIXON and all caps, I think, and you can get 50% off for the next 2 months. If you have any questions, any comments about this video, please feel free to leave them in the comments. And let's see. If you watched this far and you want to put in an emoji, you can put in something that just reminds you of the video. It could be a swing. I don't even know if they have a swing emoji. Um, or a block or crying or um just like something that represents whatever stood out to you, I guess, from this little wonderful IFS session. So yeah, it was very powerful for me. I hope it was for you too. And I'll see you next time. May we all be kind to ourselves and to all our parts until we meet again.